Solitary realizers can achieve enlightenment through conditions. What this means is that solitary realizers, we know in Chinese is called 圆觉 or 独觉, which literally means these kinds of practitioners, solitary realizers, they realize, they achieve enlightenment through observations of the world, how things actually really works on cause and conditions, how flowers blooms and then it withers, or how the 4 seasons goes, or how things comes and goes. They observe the surroundings, the environment, the nature, and realize on their own that the truth of world is that everything is empty. And by empty, we mean like what we have mentioned before, or what Master have taught before, true emptiness, wondrous existence. The emptiness is not empty, but that everything is it is impermanent, that it comes and goes, that it's only an aggregation, only an affinities combined, and so we have everything around us. But because these affinities combined, and so it changes. It slowly changes by itself. It goes through the 4 stages of phenomena: appearing, staying, changing, disappearing. So solitary realizers, they achieve the enlightenment through these. And so the question was, what is the difference between this enlightenment through conditions and Buddha's state of perfect enlightenment? So what's the difference between this enlightenment and that enlightenment? So let's take a look at this. So this first. So again, let's look at this terminology so that they realize this a bit deeper. In Pali, it will call Pratyeka Buddha. So in Chinese, there's 3 different names: 圆觉 or 独觉 or 辟支佛. Solitary realizer will link more to the 独觉 part. That these people, so as practitioners, we call them by different, we call them by different names depending on the situation. If they are born in the era where a Buddha is around, then we call them 圆觉. So these are the people when the Buddha is present, they heard of the teachings of cause and conditions, and realized and understood this law of cause and conditions, and achieved enlightenment from there. And so we call them 圆觉. By say they were born in a period of time when there's no Buddha around, but they observe on their own the environment around them and realize that truth, and we call them 独觉. So that's the solitary part. Solitary realizers, they understand on their own. Okay, so that's the difference. And what I want to share is that, so what's the difference between Buddhist enlightenment and the solitary realizers enlightenment is, I use this PowerPoint to try to differentiate. So the realization of the world's working, the laws of nature, is more of this wisdom part, the wisdom of understanding that everything is indeed true emptiness or wondrous existence. This understanding of nature. Think of it like a scientist. A scientist observe the world and realize the laws of nature of this world, and indeed, what they have realized would be something very true and very very understandable and very deep down and true of these worlds working. And so that will be like wisdom, this part that is always present. The wisdom of the world, or this truth of the world, is always there. It's never born or never diminished or never disappearing. It's always there. And so even if the Buddha is not around anymore, this wisdom is still present. And so the solitary realizers will be able to, in fact, anyone, it doesn't specifically refers to a special group of people. It's trying to say that the wisdom is still there, and there will be people that will be able to realize about this wisdom, realize about this truth, and we give them this name, solitary realizers. But everyone has that possibility. We all are able to. So it's telling us the wisdom is always there. But there's another part of the enlightenment that I would call the blessing part. And these blessings part does not come from just pure wisdom thinkings, but that affinities with the crowd. And that requires a lot of time to accumulate. And so that's why our Dharma master gave us this path, of the Bodhisattva path, is helping us to accumulate these affinities with the crowd by going into the crowd, serving without asking anything in returns. So these affinities with the crowd, just like what in the Lotus Sutra we see, how each of these venerables, they will have to go through long eras of time, giving offerings to billions and billions of Buddhas before they would attain Buddhahood. In the same way, to say that you have to accumulate a lot of good affinities with many different people, and each of these people are all future Buddhas. And so we accumulate these affinities with the crowd by planting blessings in this world. And we can imagine how that takes time. And we can also see a difference between a person that have cultivated a lot of these such blessings and affinities, and say to people like myself, for example. So you see, like Master Cheng, our Dharma master, her affinities with the crowd, with people, is so huge. I mean, she has millions of disciples and many people are willing to listen to her, her words. There's a lot of virtues that she has accumulated, and so she has the affinities with so many people, even with people that are far away in other countries, never met her on person before, but yet that affinity is already there. So Master herself, she must have planted those affinities, for lifetime after lifetime before. And so that's why she now has such affinities with the crowd and that blessings. And these, of course, requires a long time of accumulations that is different from wisdom. And only when these two sides, the utmost wisdom and the utmost blessings, are both achieved and both accumulated, both wholesomely accomplished, would one be called and be said to be a Buddha. So 福慧两足尊, blessings and wisdoms, these two sides needs to be accomplished. And so that's the difference between solitary realizers and Buddhas or Bodhisattvas. Because solitary realizers, all the voice hearers, although they are high in their wisdoms and their practices and virtues, but they just lack that extra amount to go into the crowd, to share the teachings or share the Dharma, or to be with the crowd, to actually go through the people. And so that would be the difference between the two. And so that's why in the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha wishes to wishes that these voice hearers or the project of Buddhas to turn from a small vehicle to the great vehicles, to cultivate their blessings, to cultivate their affinities with the crowd. And by accomplishing that, they would be the same as Buddha as well. And so that will be my answer to this question, between solitary realizers and Buddha's enlightenment. What's the difference? And from there, actually, I want to also share that actually the fact that solitary realizers are around is a kind of a boost in our trust that even when the Buddha is not around, wisdom never dies. Wisdom is always present, and so Buddhahood is still possible even when the Buddha is not around. Let's turn this phrase something different. Even when the Dharma master is no longer around, Buddhahood is still possible. And so we need to have that faith, that trust, that confidence that we can uphold this Tzu Chi path on and on and on and continuing, even when the Dharma master is no longer around, because her wisdom life will still be with us and already in us. She inspired the wisdom life that we all already have. And we will be able to continue that just because Solidary realizes, I like this too. It's possible to continue on this Buddhahood or this wisdom life. And so we need to have that faith to continue that on. So that will be for question 1. And I want to link this further to the idea of the 12 links of interdependent origination, because what the Solidary realizes, they understood, or what the Buddha taught these Solidary realizes is these teachings of the 12 things of interdependent originations. And what are these? Let's go through and kind of remind ourselves again what this is all about. So there are these 12 things that go from ignorance, to action, to consciousness, to name and form, to the 6 senses, then to contact, to sensation, desire, detachment, existence, birth, aging and death, and all the sufferings that come from that. So that's the 12 things. Let's go through again. So from ignorance, that is really not knowing what we are doing, ignorant about what we are doing, and so we go and do it. It's like sometimes when we ask 2 days, I feel very tired. I always want to feel like very sleepy, and so very sleepy. But why am I sleepy? I don't know. And many a time, a lot of the things, that the emotions or the energy, I cannot control it. I feel those those are ignorance too. I don't know why I'm like this. I cannot control myself, but I'm still like this, and so that leads to the actions, going back to sleep and so on and so forth. So those ignorance leads to actions, and such actions plants into our consciousness that, yeah, I'm just a lazy person, or such consciousness that when I feel tired, I should go and sleep. When I feel that I don't have energy, that's that. And so those are kind of seeds that plants into my consciousness. So things like this. So these 3 of these 2, the first 3 or the first 2 things, we also call them the past life. So all the things that we have done in the past are like this, stem from ignorance most of the time, and we go and do it, and those are seeds that is planted into our consciousness. So these 3 are past life, and from these things that we have done in past life, these karmas or these habitual tendencies, we brought them to this life, and so we have our name and form. In fact, one interpretation is that this name and form will be our bodies, and we have the names. We now have this body born to this life. But another interpretation is that because of the consciousness that we have planted before, we now see the things around differently. So for example, chocolate, or more, maybe I like mango. So so why do I like mango? I don't know. Something that's planted, something that's planted before in my past life. So in this life, somehow I like this fruit, or I like these things. I like these things. So all these are like things planted before, and because of these seeds that's already in my consciousness, and so in this life, when I see these things, when I see chocolate, when I see mango, when I see this specific person, I feel I know what it is. I know its form. I know its name. I know that this is a table. I know this is a chair. I know this is my parents. All these are like seeds that's planted into my consciousness before. And so now we recognize it. In a way, if we see something that's new that we do not recognize, then we will not be able to call out its name. We will not be able to recognize its form. And so to be able to call its name, to be able to recognize its form, it must have been that that something is already in our consciousness. Not we will not see it. Okay, and so because we know its name and we know its form, and so when our six senses are in contact with it, we know it, we realize it. And so that's the contact part. When our six senses contact with the six dust, that means all the things around us, that's the contact. And when that contact happens, that leads to sensation. And when there's sensation, like the taste of the mango, the taste of the chocolate, or the look of the things I like, that will lead to desire. Oh, I really like this a lot. And when I really like it a lot, that leads to attachment. I want to try to grab it. I'll try to think of all the ways to try to get it. And so that's attachment. And when attachment happens, that becomes existence. So that becomes like Yoping really likes mango, or things that it's like something that's fixed already, cannot change. Or many a time when like in a boy-girl relationship, we say that she is mine already, and that will not change. That love will not change. Even when the ocean is dried up, or when the sky falls down, or this love will not change. It's as if it's already permanent. And when we think that things are already permanent and will not change, that's when it's something is born, and then all the suffering will come from that attachment and existence, and then everything suffering. And so that's the interpretation of these 12 things, and we can see how it actually works. By the way, so we were saying the first three, ignorance, action, and consciousness, is the past life, and in this life we will have name, form, six senses, contact, sensation, desire, attachment, existence, and then from there is the next life. We will bring with us the attachment, these desires, these greed, these karma that we have done, to our next life, to our next rebirth. And then from there, it goes on and on and on in a cycle that leads a lot of sufferings, and is circulating around the six realms. So that's how the 12 things of interdependence and origination work. So there was a question where, when, or at which link can we interfere, or can we try to cut it, so to end our sufferings. So let's try to think, try to piece things together. And I wouldn't say this is the right answer, or this is the taught by some. It's just my own interpretations. And actually, Brother Joe shared this before. I actually borrowed his slide from last 2 years ago, January. So let's refresh our memory again on this. So I think this idea was really good. That Master taught us to serve others, and to give. It's actually a way to help us to know when we are already at this almost the very last stage. When we already attached. For example, we attach to money, or we are attached to our loved ones. Say, for example, then giving or letting go is something that will help us to slowly let go of this. Say we are attached to our body, and so this giving of, say, a bone marrow donations, or blood donation, is something that helps us to slowly let go of our attachment of this body. Or if we are attached to the money, then giving helps us to let go, to realize that actually money, when it's saved in the bank, it has no use, because use it to plant good seeds, to use it to do something good to society, and that will circulate and become a virtuous a virtuous cycle, a good cycle that goes on and on and on. And so giving helps us to cut it at this attachment part. And we also learn of precepts, and precepts help us to cut it a stage earlier. That is when the desire already arises, before it becomes attachment. We have precepts to help us to check on our mind, to check on our thoughts, that I'm having these desires are coming up already. I need to stop it there and not let it continue. I need to stop my greed, I need to stop my anger, I need to stop my ignorance. And so these precepts help us to stop it there and not let it become a habit or become an attachment. And so precepts help us at this stage. And we can go even further earlier. If we have samadhi or forbearance, that will be when we have sensation. When we have the sensation already, let it not become desire. And so that would need a very calm mind, or very still mind to, of course, to also to contemplate and to be really, really mindful. When we have the sensation already, we do not let desire come up. And so that at this stage, we can already do something. And even earlier, also with samadhi and forbearance, is that when we are in contact with things, we don't let the sensation be something that is very, very, say for example, I want to give you an example. About a month ago, I went to see the dentist, and the first time that I went to see the dentist, it was not that painful, but it was painful, and so I was like, I was giving some sound, and so the dentist was saying that don't ground, it's not that painful, okay? And I was like, oh, okay, and so I was bearing with it. So second time when I went to see the dentist, I was doing this 根管治疗, something that's supposed to be much painful, much more painful. And but I remember the first time the dentist said, don't ground, don't make sound if it's painful. And so I try to think of it in another way, that it's Yoping that's in pain, it's not me that's in pain. I hope you know what I mean. It's Yoping that's in pain and not me that's in pain. It's someone else, someone by the name of Yoping or Joe, not me. And so when I think of it in that way, suddenly that drill going on my teeth no longer feels like a pain. And so, or in a way, pain is no longer suffering. It's not suffering anymore. It's just some kind of sensation. It does not arouse any emotion or any what do you call it? Reflex. And so it's not that painful anymore. Actually, it's pretty amazing. And so the dentist was doing all these things. It was painful in a way, but not painful anymore. And so I wasn't making any noise. I was just letting the dentist do whatever he's doing. And so he was asking me, is it painful? And I was like, yeah, actually it's quite painful. And he was like, what? Then why you're not telling me? I was like, okay. So in any case, what I want to say is that it's actually possible to that even when our senses are in contact with the surroundings, in pain or when we see things, we smell things, it's actually possible to actually not have this contact become something that is a very strong sensation that will very easily be desired. I think we can just stop it there. I actually tried something else too. That when I was running, I would say that it's Yoping that's running, that's not me that's running. And then when I think of it in that way, actually, I don't feel so tiring anymore. It's like someone else is tiring, it's not me. And so it's not so tiring anymore. So again, it's this contact no longer lead to sensation. And so this is possible. Okay, you can even go even earlier. That is, again, precept. We control our behaviors. We control the environment, the things that we see, the things that we do, the things that we taste. We do not let our senses be in contact with the things that is not wholesome or the things that is not right. And that is like what in the Lotus Sutra, the chapter 14, the peaceful practices. This will help us to be in contact only with the things that's wholesome, to be in contact with the things that's right, and to refrain from things or people or the environment that is not so well. So such precepts will help us to keep ourselves away from being in contact with these things, and of course this will help also. But it's not to say that we keep ourselves secluded from the whole environment, live in the mountain and not be with the crowd. It's not that way. Okay, but with precepts, we control behaviors, we control what we see, what we do, and so all the precepts that we learn, all the 思维仪, the disciplines that we learn in Tzu Chi, it all helps in this way. And so this is how we can cut from these various stages in this life, right? From name and form is already the beginning of this life, and all the way to existence is all this life in a way. Okay, all these points are within this life, and so within this lifetime we can already do so many things, but we can in fact go even earlier. That is at the ignorance part. We can already do something. So what is ignorance? From my understanding, it is not knowing what we are doing, not knowing what we are doing. And if we have wisdom and diligence, and of course all of this you have realized comes from the sixth perfection. If we have wisdom and diligence, we know what we are doing. We make vows of what we are doing. We think good thoughts. We do good deeds. We say good words. Then we are no longer ignorant of what we are doing. We are very sure what we are doing. We follow our vow. We know what we are doing. Then everything else no longer happens. Everything is no longer ignorant. It's all wisdom and diligence. So that cycle will be very, very different already. Let's think about it. Say, if we can, from the very first ignorance, transform it into a great vow. So what would these 12 links be? From a great vow, we put into action. From these actions, that plants good seeds in our consciousness. In fact, if we can make it the great round mirror in our consciousness, that'll be awesome. And from there, this consciousness become the name and form, all the things we see. That's what Master says. When we have good heart, everything we see will be good. All right? 佛心看人，人人是佛. No, things like that. When we have a good consciousness, we will see things in a good way. And those will become our six senses. And must also say we need to transform our consciousness into wisdom. And that is, transforming the five senses into the wisdom of accomplishment, transform the sixth sense into the wisdom of wondrous observations, and things like that, and so on and so forth. We can transform all of it into wisdom. And so our six senses, when it comes into contact with the environment, it's no longer those desires and things, but say, for example, this contact will be more like fu wei de fu. It's when we when we are in contact with suffering, when we are in contact with our Gan Hu, or in contact with our care families, when we are in contact with those people in suffering, those are the kind of contact we're talking about now. We contact with pain, we contact with the people in need. Those are the kind of contact that we're talking about. And then the sensation will no longer be just our own sensation, but we pain others' pain as well. There's empathy. We're able to feel what people are feeling. In fact, we can even feel what the earth is feeling, and so we do environmental protection. Our sensation is now broader. We can feel what the earth is feeling, and so we do not throw rubbish around. We do not pollute it with plastics and things like that. And so those sensations no longer, it's very different already. Then from there, it becomes not desire, but compassion. That compassion is the strength. Just like desire is the strength also that lead us to do the things, but now it's not desire anymore, but compassion. That leads us, that becomes the strength that leads us to do the things that's right. And so it's no longer attachment, but equanimity, or letting go. That we can do all these things, but yet we are not attached. We are giving without asking anything in return. Empty in our heart, but yet very diligent and very speedy in all the things that we do. And then from there, it's no longer existence, but wondrous existence. We accumulate these good virtues, we accumulate blessings, we accumulate good affinities, and all of these are wondrous existence. We return back to our pure inner nature, or the true suchness. And again, that's wondrous existence, the Buddha nature that we already have. That's wondrous existence. And from there, it's no longer birth, but coming back again and again to this world. Bodhisattvas coming back again and again to the world to ferry more people to the other shore. So we are no longer afraid of birth. We are no longer afraid of death. We come back again and again and again. And so it's not aging, death, and all kinds of suffering next, but minds purified, society harmonious, world without disasters. And so this becomes the new 12 links of interdependent originations that begins from a great vow, that begins from wisdom, that begins from the thought of a bodhisattva. And that is what the Lotus Sutra is about. Now, at the latest chapters, beginning from chapter 11, I think, the Buddha is already asking and seeking more people to uphold the Lotus Sutra, to uphold the vows of a bodhisattva, to go out and help people and not be secluded in our own circle. Go out and help others. Uphold the Lotus Sutra. Walk the Bodhisattva path. That's the great vow. And that leads a very different cycle of 12 links. And these good cycles will go on and on and on, and leading to minds purified, society harmonious, and world without disasters. And so this is in answering what Brother Jeffrey was asking in the WhatsApp. So this is where we can cut. And in fact, from the very beginning, with a great vow, the Master is leading us on, we can lead a very different 12 links in our life. So that's in answering question 1. So this was in chapter 1 that the Buddha mentioned that these white lights that emitted from the eyebrow, and then saying that Dharma, which the whole world will be very hard to believe, because the Dharma that he's going to preach, true Dharma, will be very hard to believe by the whole world, by everyone. And so that's why he manifested that light, or that this manifestation, as so as to lead everyone into that they're wanting to hear this true Dharma, that the Dharma in the Lotus Sutra is something different, something true, an original intention. So the question was, do I understand that hearers of Pratyeka Buddhas will find it hard to believe because they think they already attained the stage of no rebirth. But why is the newly aspired bodhisattvas hard to believe when hard to believe the Lotus Sutra when it's already a way to walk the bodhisattva path? Well, why I think about this is that a new bodhisattva and a bodhisattva, of course, bodhisattva also has a lot of stages. You can actually, if you go into very detail, it has 52 stages. But in a way, there are new bodhisattvas, and also those that are already very firm in their path and already seniors and very experienced and not wavering. They will never return and things like that. So there is different stages of the bodhisattva path, and of course we can see very clearly from our own from ourselves also. I mean, when we are new in Tzu Chi, we are already walking the bodhisattva path, right? So we are, in a way, literally newly aspired bodhisattvas, because we are walking the bodhisattva path, but we are very new on it, and so of course we will find it difficult or not yet having a confidence in walking it. Say, for example, when it's our first time to go to home visit, or when it's our first time going onto the street to do donation drive, we will find it hard. We will find it difficult. Or when it's our first time going out to seek bone marrow donations or seek blood donations, we will find it hard. We'll find it difficult. We will find it worrying. Can we do it? Or things like that. Or we do not have the faith to go and share with people. Do not dare to go out and talk to people. We won't have those kind of experiences. And that's what newly aspired bodhisattvas will be thinking. Because Lotus Sutra is about go out and be with suffering, be in the most difficult situations. Like Venerable Purna, he went to the most difficult place, and the Buddha asked him if person speak foul words to you, what will you do? And he said I will be very grateful, because he never used a baton to hit me. And if a person used a baton, I'll be grateful because he never used a knife. If he used a knife, I'll be grateful because he never killed me. And even if he killed me, I'm grateful because I have never wavered in my path. Well, when we hear of such a story, that we need to go to the most difficult situation. In fact, for example, when we hear of Malaysia volunteers sharing about Hei Qu Bin Liang Qu, that's in Sabah, right? How if you went to the most difficult place that there has very high crime rate, that even the police do not dare to go in, but yet these volunteers have no worries at all and just go in and then inspire so many people to come out. Well, these brothers and sisters, we admire them a lot, praises them a lot, because they are like they are like great bodhisattvas, very ahead in their path, that does not have those worries, or I'm really confident in what we are doing, what they're doing, and we praise them, because many of us would be very afraid to go into such places where they are not, and so we can see the difference very clearly, but we also see how that is possible. Then through practices, through walking this path long enough, through going into the crowd again and again and again, we can be much more confident. Our faith will be deeper. We can do this with much more confidence and much more strength, and there will be a more senior bodhisattva already, and not just newly aspired bodhisattvas. So there will be the difference, and so that's what it means, that when Buddha says Dharma in this world is hard to believe, and that's what it means. And so that's my interpretation, and I'm standing for this question, and I hope this helped. So,
good morning, brothers and sisters. I'm Hualien from Puchong. Today, I would like to share with all the brothers and sisters regarding that, that mishap happened to me sometime a few months back. That was in April the 19th. Okay, on that day in the afternoon, after working, doing some computer work at my table there. So around 6, just after 6 evening, I got up, and then I didn't know what happened actually. So I just fell and then landed on my left side of the body. But I was conscious at that day. But you see, when I landed on my left side, my knee was all bent. And then I was not able to straighten it. The pain was very, very severe that I was screaming in pain. And I forgot how to cry actually. What I did was screaming with pain. So finally, I managed to straighten my knee and then I sat on the floor. After sitting there for a little while, you call it the left leg again giving me problem in the sense that I was not able to bend this time. And the pain was so severe. What I did was I called all the our Puchong's sisters to come over because I was supposed to help in the what they call that, the recycle exhibition, and then plus the before. But then oh no, sorry, it was a patient training. I was supposed to be the Tuipu on that Sunday itself, and then everybody was so surprised. You see, they told me that did I go to the hospital? I said no, I didn't, because I was just waiting for my home brother to come back to make a decision what to do next. You see, and then I was sitting on the floor. Then they all came over, all the brothers and sisters. They rushed in. They were trying to sit me on the chair because I was sitting on the floor, but the pain was very, very severe that I cannot describe it. It's only me feeling, you know, I was screaming in pain. So they wanted to take me to the, you call it, to the clinic first, but I was not able to get out at all. So I said, it's not possible for me to get into the car because I cannot stand. So the only way is to call the ambulance. And ambulance, private hospital's ambulance came. That was around evening 9 something. And then the journey from my house to put me on the stretcher, to go into the ambulance, again, I was suffering in the severe pain. I begged them, I said, please be very gentle to me, I'm in pain. And then once I reached the hospital, everything all over again. The pain started again because these people, they didn't know that, you know, I was in pain. They pushed me here and there. I said, please, please, I'm in pain. Be very, very gentle and very careful. So from the ambulance stretcher, I was transferred to the bed. And then the emergency MO saw me, took my history. So, but the consultant didn't come that evening itself. So I was sent to do a series of x-ray. At the x-ray department again, I was screaming in pain again. And then until I think about just after 12 midnight, then only I get myself admitted to the hospital. The next morning, the consultant came and what he did was ask me about my history. So I told what happened and all that. And then he told me that according to the x-ray that I took, they think they found something in the bone there, the knee bone there. So it could be some growth and all that. So I suggest me to go for MRI. Again, I went through MRI again. And then they still find something that there's a shadow there. They think that it could be cancer. So suggest to go for biopsy. So I went for biopsy and all that. And then throughout the first few days in the hospital, what do you call it? The doctor didn't sort of assess me properly. So when I say I'm in pain, he said, yeah, because you had a fall, it's going to take, you know, with the age, it's going to take at least 6 weeks to get better and blah, blah, all that thing. So I believe in him in a sense, you know. Then physio was done. So, you know, the physio was done, they say, because I had a fall. So, you know, I have to do the physio to strengthen my muscles and all that. So I listened to them, I did everything. So I was in the hospital for 5 days only. On the third day itself, I think I went for bone biopsy because they think that they you know, it could be, you call it cancer and all that. So I went for biopsy and all that. Then they discharged me home with the pain medicine or painkiller only. So I went home. And then since I went home, that was on the 19th, for 1 whole month, I was in severe pain. What I was given is only painkiller, but I was not able to walk. And then the leg swells and all that. So I have to go on the wheelchair and all that. And then I was, for 1 whole month exactly, I think I was not able to sleep at night, because the moment I lie on the bed, I straighten my knee, the pain starts coming. So 1 whole month I was, you call it, sitting on the bed the whole night. And then I should say, you got it,感恩 to my home brother. He was the one who took care of me during that period. Then I was in the house because I was not able to climb upstairs. So I had to sleep in the sitting room, and then he has to sleep on the long sofa. And then throughout this period, when I was the first 4 weeks, you see, all the brothers and sisters, they were very, very concerned about me. They started a group. Every day I can see them wishing me speedy recovery, because according to the x-ray, the doctor said there's no fracture. But then the swelling was severe and all that. So after 4 weeks, then one of the sister, you call it Tzu Chi, and a group of our brothers and sisters, they visited me one evening. And then they saw my situation. So they suggested that since Western medicine, they only give painkiller, why don't I go for TCM? So next day I went to the private hospital to see a Chinese doctor. The Chinese doctor, or call it TCM doctor, was the one who diagnosed me that I have a fracture of left head of femur. And then when I heard that there's a fracture, I was really, I don't know how to describe it. I was so shocked. I said, how did, for 4 weeks, nobody diagnosed me there's a fracture. And then the next, after 2 days, I went for, you call it surgery to fix my head of femur. So there was a prosthesis, iron, you call it, head put inside there. The moment I came back from OT, I was so happy. The pain was gone, and I was able to wiggle my toes and all that. So on the next day, immediately, the doctor, sent me for physio. They were teaching me how to walk, how to strengthen my muscles, because for 1 month I was not able to walk and all that. So and then my, you call it, because of the fracture, so my left leg, rotated out a little bit. So then I went for physio, and on the 5th day I came home. I came home, then I was doing my own physio at home, and then food-wise, that time my home brother, he's still working and all that. And then our brothers and sisters, our volunteers, they were so kind and so concerned. Every day they'll come and visit me or call me, and they'll bring in food. Some of them even come to my house and help me to clean the house, clean the toilet, do everything, for me. And then after a little while, that even my neighbor, she was so kind to me and so concerned about me. Every day for my lunch, she will cook 3 dishes plus 1 soup and rice and bring to me and all that. So, from this experience, I really, appreciate, all the helps and all that. I don't know how to express my gratitude to everybody. So, and then now I am on the road of recovery. I was hoping that I can walk properly, then I can come out and enjoy the activities again. So this is because by coming out to join the activities, I'm very happy instead of staying at home and all that. Okay, thank you very much. This is all. Okay.
感恩师父回浪 Sister Tammy, there is one more right from your side. 感恩 Sister 回浪 was sharing such a warm-heartening story, life story.
Sister Tzu Chi, it's almost 8 o'clock already, so another Cheryl will be in another week, so okay?
Okay, we will pass it to next week. Okay, Brother Yo Ping, to wrap up, Kan Ân.
Hi, good morning, brother, sister. Thank you for the sister sharing just now, and I think that she's been from a good affinity with other people surrounding her, so that even though she get through such unforbearing kind of pain for herself, but she can get a warm, friendly, and those people who care for her. So I think this is what Master said, the Faqing Guan, why I think we care for our fellowship of Tzu Chi's volunteer self. This is a very good news that she found a problem and she recovered. It's quite very well since through her explanation for the previous experience, I think is get through a lot of suffering because of the diagnosis, maybe for cancer or whatever, go through a lot of different kind of checking. And I think for her personal mind, I think maybe she get suffered quite a long time because it sounds like the pain is not simple, it's very serious. And I think everything will go through smooth because just after raining there will be a rainbow. I think she's getting have a very peaceful and for herself is like she's getting have a still in the thought. I think okay, this is my feedback for her sharing. Thank you.
感恩师父 and thanks everyone. Indeed, yes, well wishes to Sister Hualien, and hopefully you will recover very quickly and be back in a lot of activities and join us again. And very happy to see you here also today. I hope you are already feeling much better. So thank you for the sharing, and we all have our blessings with you. So thank you again.